Troops, Reilly's Gaff is sponsored by El Dorado Tonic Wine. I love this stuff. Big James loves this stuff. And you're going to love it as well. Go get yourself a bottle at convenience stores all over Scotland, or you can get it online on Amazon as well. Go get yourself a wee bottle, crack it open, and enjoy the podcast.
Day-to-day the shit change, but you know for the most part nothing ain't different. Sometimes be stuck in my ways, weekend fucked up in somebody's kitchen, sticking my hand, I'm chilling with the troops and my few cans down, so I walk like Winston. Trust me, I wake up hanging, you think that I'm leaving this bed, you're kidding, I'm sitting on back in the pad, get deep fried and I smoke some packs of the grass, put the feet up, kick back and relaxing at best, no I'm sitting on Reilly's Gaff.
Wow, mate, this is glorious.
This is tremendous.
Finally.
We've been hunting you for a while, mate, I would say.
Nah, I know what's going on here. You tried to get Gordon DL first, and then you because he replies like a da, he just sent you a thumbs up.
Mate,
you sent me that. You sent him about 50 texts, and he just sent you a thumbs up, and you didn't know whether that meant yes or no. And I know that you would rather have Andy Halliday as well because you love Andy Halliday so much.
Bronze isn't bad.
So listen, it is. Did you ask me before Hugh Keevans? That's what I really need to know.
We asked you before anybody for the Clyde One cabal, mate.
Aye.
You were
I do
first.
feel bad though because I've just become like really annoyingly busy, and then it looks like I'm like
No.
I usually like to say yes to these things. So
Well,
I'm glad to be here.
I think when we first asked you, it was years ago, and it was like it was when you had maybe not just started, but you were doing a lot more of the TV stuff and like Sky Sports stuff.
Did I
and we were
reply?
like,
Please tell
aye,
me
you
I
did.
replied.
And you were gory, come on, and then I think you had your baby or something.
That is
and
a
it was
good
like
excuse.
stuff like that. That was it's a fine excuse. I mean,
That works.
Sorry.
Now I've had another one just to avoid coming on.
I think that was purpose. I think you've seen a message for us and you were like, we better get to work here. No, I had the pleasure of meeting the Dazzler. He is getting a hold of Gordon DL's like trying to catch an eel in your hands.
Slippery.
He is.
he's a Pokemon of a guy, man.
He is.
Isn't he?
He's hard to get a hold of.
If you hang around the front door in Motherwell Asda,
Aye.
Motherwell Asda or Lanark Golf Club, you find him no bother. You've been looking in the wrong places.
I bet he's the king up there, isn't he?
He does walk around Motherwell Asda as if he owns the place. See up and down that, so the fruit and veg aisles like near the start. You can always just see him just like doing wee laps. And I'm actually serious because I moved away from Motherwell 2 years ago, right? And I went on this run. I started counting them like 12 times in a row. If I went to Motherwell and I was in Asda, he was there. I promise. Like any time of day.
Jenky's hanging about for like older guys.
Possibly.
Gordon! No, I mean, like,
I think he likes the adulation.
he gets a lot of it, to be fair.
Sometimes I would see his car outside and then that would spoil it. Other times I would just bump into him in the aisles. He's good.
That's a treat, that.
Did you like, you know how I remember there was one of the phone-ins you were talking about, he was coming back for like a night out and he was on the train and like hundreds of people recognised him and he was saying to them like, no, what is it he said? No, I play golf. What he said something like, no, that's not me.
Yeah, he'll try and maybe like, I think he walks a fine line between loving his fame but also maybe annoying him, because about 3 different people sent me a picture of him on that train. And then obviously people might be zooming in, seeing who he's with, seeing what he's up to. He doesn't like that. Well, understandably.
He likes after meeting him at that live show, I know one thing, he likes a sunbed.
Oh.
Well, when I used to live in Motherwell, I used to sometimes see his car outside the sunbed and I would say, oh, I saw you in Tan Canaria or whatever. And he was like,
Is that another hot spot?
No, it wasn't. I was like, I saw your Passat outside the front door.
He was, because I was Brendan Rodgers. He was actually you.
I was you.
I don't know if you knew that.
Well, I was
tough
Dordon
shift.
Guncan. I was like your like fucking detestable brother that's been kept in a fucking basement and fed drugs for 6 years or something. I was Dordon Guncan. I was your little alter ego, aye.
So you're telling me I did the right thing avoiding this show?
You could be.
I
think
chose my
so,
daughter's dance show over that.
Right, that's fair dues. Because do you know, like when we went to the meeting for that, they were he was like, look, boys, want to bring you on is like to go on before the panel. And they were like, we've got Keevans and Halliday. As soon as I heard Halliday,
Did you meet your hero Andy? How was it? Did you shy?
It was. Do you know? It was everything I wanted it to be.
It was a loving embrace.
He hugged me, and
So
I thought,
did he know?
oh, as soon as he met, I kind of shook his hand. Now that way, you like shake somebody's hand, then you kind of like give him the back tap, and he was like, "I've been saying that video about 1,000 times." Aye. But no, it was everything I wanted to be and more. I would say.
Aye,
I would love for me and Andy to maybe. I'd love to go to like a Spanish restaurant with Andy.
He phoned me straight after it, actually. He's the only one that got in touch that night, about 11 o'clock. He phoned me straight after.
About the panel, aye?
Aye.
But see, to be fair, we thought when we were told about it, we would just automatically, well, obviously Gordon Duncan's got to be there. Like, these humans can't be like out in the wild without Gordon
I
Duncan.
did feel like when I got sent the picture of the Dazzler with the strippers, I thought I shouldn't have left them. I should not have left them alone. I got that so many times. Every group chat I'm in.
The best part about him with the strippers is, right, it kind of got posted on Twitter, like, we know context of, like, by the way, he's at this live show and that, so all the comments were like, he's a dirty old bastard.
So he had the Motherwell top on.
Aye.
Right, so like it was tight. It was tight.
Was it yours?
No, so we both got one.
Right.
Like, freebies.
Aye.
And but he's shameless, and I don't mind it because I'll just sit in the background and he'll be shameless with the freebies, and then I sometimes get one as well. But actually, like the CEO of Motherwell, like I spoke to him and was like, "This is not what we had in mind when we got him that strip.
Aye.
It was for him to be wearing it, flanked by two blondes."
He was on fire, but he walked in. I watched them walk in. Just looked $1 million, man.
I'm not sure about that.
The tan,
Come on.
the teeth, the army track. He was all like two-piece and that. And he just walked in. He was like, "Hugh, you got red wine yet?" Like, and walked into the green room, bought a red wine and horn, mate, and just started pulling them off. He's a star, mate.
That was before his holiday, though, was it not? Because he's been in Tenerife.
Has he?
So
Right.
a lot of the word had made its way to me that he's been in the Clyde office, and he said to George Bowie, "George, is there a GBX on? I heard there's a GBX in Tenerife. Well, I'm going. Can you get me in the guest list? Because he'll do anything for free. Won't stop to think about whether he'll even enjoy it. Just if it's free, he's in."
Aye.
And George, again, I'm getting this second hand. Apparently, George was like, "Well, aye, but like, you know, it starts at 2 a.m. Like you're 63. It starts at 2 a.m. He's like, "Perfect." That was the story I got.
That's
I haven't
so funny.
I've not had the aftermath.
Who, see in that building, who is the top dog in there?
George is king.
Really, aye.
Aye.
George is king.
Even over Hugh and that?
Hugh,
Hugh's got a sort of aura about him in there, I would say. But bearing in mind, like Hugh, like, because he's just been in it for years. So honestly, see when the show starts at 6, Hugh goes in at like 3. Or sometimes if he wants away for his grandkids, he just goes in. Or he'll say like, "Can I bring my grandson into the office to like watch like the Chelsea game on Sunday?" He just uses it like a kind of hotel.
He's earned that, ain't he?
They can come and go. But George is a man, isn't he? Put it this way. Games, we'll maybe go on late on a Wednesday night. If there's a game on, we go on a Sunday. Let me ask you this. Does Super Scoreboard ever go on 1 minute past 6?
No.
Why? Because the GBX is top dog.
true, by the way.
He is.
There we go.
I
I tell a lie, actually. First time ever. It's taken me 8 years when Celtic Aberdeen went to penalties. We got on to 10 past 6.
And that was
aye.
it.
That was the biggest breakthrough of all time.
Aye, it's funny because like sometimes you'll be like, if I can't, I'm just picturing it now, and I'm like driving home for like a game or something, and I'm like listening to the radio, and it's like, I want no that George Bowie's amazing, GBX is amazing, but it's like you want to hear more about the football, and it's like it just goes for like right, cheers, and then it's just bam, 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 bam.
That's only been a problem, I think, in the last few years because finishing at 6 isn't. But now you get so many late kickoffs. You know, I think like the last couple of cup deals have meant like 5:30 kickoffs in the cup, so it has become like a bit of a problem. Whereas I think years ago it was fine. You could just come off at 6 every time.
You must be up there, but you must be third.
Oh well,
No?
well below Hugh and George. But I know my place.
Your time served in there, but you were in
quite a
Clyde.
while.
You were in there already before you started the scoreboard,
Oh
weren't
yeah,
you?
aye, for quite a while. So I probably first. It was like 2009. So I was about 19 or 20 was when I first started doing games. So, but that's just popping in to pick up your wee kit and go. You're scum at that point. Like you've not got a pass, you've not got a lanyard.
Didn't get to meet George
At
Bowie.
that point, do you know what I mean? First time I met George was like, this is how old I am. Like, see, before really social media, they just get introduced to him in the corner, and that's his voice, obviously. Whereas now everybody knows what everybody looks like. So radio's changed a bit.
Aye.
But the first time I remember just speaking to him, that's George Bowie. And then about 2012, so that's like 13 years. That's when I finished uni and started going in sort of like daily or whatever. So that's quite a while. But there's a few in there. There's a few that have been like proper in with the bricks.
Aye, you and Cameron.
I like that because he did the real radio
He
thing,
does,
didn't he? So he's a
aye.
bit later.
Does he know the like greatest hits or something now?
Aye, so that was like the old Clyde 2.
Ah, is
And
that
that got
what it is?
rebranded as like greatest hits. I'm terrible for like the knowledge and
It
politics. and that
changes, but
stuff.
I feel like it changes all the time.
I
But
know,
it's
I know
like
very
Rio,
little.
and now it's this, and
And then
Don't
like
ask me about that
XFM,
stuff. I
and
don't know
then
anything about that.
Aye. Well, do you know who the king of greatest hits radio is? The absolute king.
Tell me.
Ken Bruce, mate.
Aye, well, that was like signing Messi.
Aye, mate, it's not, but it's mad, right? Because see, I listen to that all day in work and see every single show that's on, like every single one. Like the show before it's like Ewan and Kat, right? But they've got a segment called like the top 10 till Ken, and it's like the 10 songs
done that.
before Ken Bruce.
Like, build it up.
And, like all the adverts are like the home of Ken Bruce and Popmaster. Like
Oh, that was like there was a lot of excitement around when he was coming
he's
on board.
excellent, but
I must admit, I feel like I'm a bit detached with all that stuff because years ago I'd be a 9 to 5 or whatever. Now I'm just in the afternoon, I'm or the evening, I miss everybody.
ideal.
So it's ideal, but
aye. But so you were in doing, was it Motherwell games you were doing?
not just anything. So
Any?
my first one was St Mirren Dundee United, and just to show how old I am, it was at the old Love Street. That's what
Oh,
like
yes,
my dad
that's
used
sick.
to say.
Aye.
Like stadiums that are no longer in use. Just before they moved. I just like somebody was sick and out of nowhere. Like to be fair, it's now sort of been in that position. It's amazing to think of like the faith that because it was you know Peter Martin.
yeah.
So he was like the host of Super Scoreboard at that time, and I was his neighbour. And he just like I was like 19. I was sitting just one Saturday morning. And he just said, "Oh, somebody's sick. Will you go and do this game?" And see the thought of me now phoning up somebody who'd never like been on.
Aye.
Don't know if I would do it. I have to be honest.
That's mad. Things have changed, but
Possibly, but then don't you think it would have been stricter back then?
true. Aye.
I remember being I was quite like, my gut reaction's always like, no, I can't do that. That's my first thing. And then eventually I come round and go, turning it down would be worse.
Aye.
So you've got to just do it and then see what happens. So I remember that, and like somebody had to like come out with me, set up all the gear. I had like no idea what I was doing. I forgot my notepad. I was like scribbling on I was like panicking about pronunciation of like players' names.
See, because I've always wondered this, like even on like, because you'll do some of the games like on a Saturday for Sky if Rangers are maybe playing and they'll go to you and you're like, see like the recap of things that have happened. Are you just like scribbling them down as they happen?
This sounds probably quite arrogant now. I just do it off the top of my head. I know it is. That's a shame because that's just for me. It does. And by the way, there might be folk who've done it for years that still don't want to do it that way. That might even be reckless for me. It might. I've just get now. It's just that's just how I've come at the most. If there's like loads, you just go, but so brief, like just quick, maybe like the minute. But then don't mention the minute. That's my pet hate, right?
Really? Aye.
You mention it like once, see if it's really significant.
Yep.
There's nothing. See if a match report goes in the first minute this happened, and in the 7th this, and the 8th there you go. That's my biggest. Oh, that's the worst.
Is that, you know,
bad?
they're kind of cheating. They're just like,
It's not even cheating. It's just who cares.
So it's not like bad journalism. Is that a wee bit? You're calling people out, man. You're let
You'll
listen.
listen now.
who is it that does it?
I'll tell you after.
Chris Boyd, obviously.
But yeah, on that because you're expected to be quite brief, and I quite like it to almost be a bit relaxed or whatever. So I'm kind of do
Conversational.
most of it off the top of my head if I can.
Aye, I like that. I like that style.
Have you got any other like football like journalistic pet peeves like that, or even on radio or anything?
Loads probably. So if like somebody. This will mostly come. You can get it in press conferences, but they're a bit different. But see, like after a post-match interview, like a one-to-one type, you know, like Sky or when they've got the manager there, when the reporter will just be like, "I mean, I thought the way you moved the ball in that first half was brilliant." Or do you know what I mean? It's like, don't tell us what you think. Just ask them.
Yep, aye.
Like, you know, that was some performance in the second. Like, don't get me wrong. There's times where you might throw a small one of them in, and then you're just getting that reaction. Just like, we don't want to hear what you think. Just let us.
Aye, it's not
Just
your
ask the
thing.
question.
That's a bad one. That's a pandemic. That you'll hear that everywhere. And I can't believe more people don't leave their park their ego at that bit.
Yeah, well, you've said that in the radio a few times, like, oh, people don't care what I think, and every time I go, I fucking day, Gordon, I know you think.
That's maybe a bit of a cop out for me.
Just to not give an opinion.
True. But I feel like your opinions are better than 90% of the pundits
I
usually.
think it depends. There's certain things. I think it does come through. People have will have noticed this. Like, I think, see if it's Scotland as an example, I feel a bit more like, because I'm just a Scotland fan. Whereas onto the usual like accusations, like if it's Celtic or Rangers, I really don't care. So I'll just treat it like a sport. Like if you say that, I'll just say the opposite.
Yeah.
And whatever, and I'll just try and balance stuff up. But if it's Scotland, I get a wee bit more actually how I feel about it. And then I feel like you also are allowed because, well, it's like the national team anyway.
Aye, we're all in it together.
So I think the longer you do it, because you're on so just so many hours in a season, you're never going to keep your opinion out of it every single
Yeah.
minute. But I'll try if I can.
How were you approached to be like to take Jerry McCulloch's place?
Aye. Just the boss in there at the time. So I had done one or two shows maybe when he was off. I think I'd hosted it like the tour version just once or twice, 2 or 3 times when he was maybe ill or away somewhere. And then they have the summer show like that's on just now where it's 1 hour. And I had done that before, but then there was a couple of us in there that had done that. And so the boss at the moment is who kind of like pretty much runs the station. He's kind of like my mate as well because he's the same age, and he kind of like really went through the ranks. This is quite a cool story, to be honest. Like he once went for a tour of the station because he won a signed Red Hot Chili Peppers skateboard. And he went to pick it up, and then they just like showed him round, and then like they let him come back, and now he runs the station. And genuinely,
That is nuts.
You should get him on. I'll just leave.
What an impression he must have left, by the way.
I'll take my skateboard.
So he phones me, and my wife was in the car, and he was like, "By the way," he's like, "They're going to phone and offer you this in like 5 minutes. Just act surprised." And then like the big boss at the time, who's sadly no longer with us, he phoned, and it was like a Monday night. You know, we were just looking forward to getting home. It was like maybe 6 o'clock. I'd picked Chainsy up at work, and he was like, "Come up to my house tonight." And he lived in like Larbert or something. So it was like, do you know what I mean? Same reaction though, like, oh no. And I remember thinking, which is so stupid. See, looking back, I was thinking like, oh, like what if the listener numbers go down? Then everybody will know like I'm a failure. And then he was like, "What? That's just not the way to think about it." And like that, I just on
Take it for that.
8 years ago.
I thought you might have like known you were getting it a wee bit.
No, I was like miles off that. I thought I just assumed they would bring. So like when Peter left, like Jim Delahunt came in from nowhere and did it, having had like loads of experience on TV or whatever. And then Jerry was kind of, I think Jim was like maybe had one night a week off, which Jerry did. So that was a kind of natural.
Yeah.
No, I assumed they would go somebody like a much bigger hitter.
Like a ringer.
Aye, just somebody with a bit of a reputation or somebody who had a bit more experience or whatever. But
So see that first show you done, do you remember it? Was it 2017?
yeah, I remember that.
What were you feeling like just as you're about to hit the air? I suppose you'd kind of done a bit. You were in the Andrew McLean role at the time.
Aye, so I'd done the hour version and stuff. It felt different in the days leading up. I remember we were at a wedding in Lochside. We were all like Chainsie's friends staying in these lodges, and it was just on my mind all weekend. And then I was doing some youth team stuff for Scotland at Oriam, and it was all I could think about all weekend. But I've always said this, it maybe sounds like a bit cliche, but the calmest bit is always the second just before for me. I don't know why. Like that's where I just feel like you've just got a job to do and everything. So I can vividly remember like hearing the tune just coming to an end, and just back in those days where I had my own fader sort of thing. Back in the radio studio before the YouTube version, and that was it. Just once you're off and running, you just go.
So see when you first started, right, 2017. Today I was thinking, I wonder what the first impressions that Gordon left in the public were, right?
Oh dear me, this one will be good.
So
what school did he go to?
Basically.
Be honest, Motherwell.
So
Actual, be honest. Oh dear.
All right, I've just realised I've now wrote it down, but I remember it. So I searched Gordon Duncan 2017. This is my journalism. And
this guy?
I was trying to find Rangers forums and Celtic forums to see what they were both kind of thinking at the time. Celtic fans never really seemed too bothered. There wasn't really anything.
That's probably bad news. That just don't care.
Follow. On the other hand, they were saying Thatcher loyal. I remember.
That's my uncle.
He was saying that he will do it as his overlords before him. Now Rangers fans like to talk in sort of like really class, like
medieval
medieval
war poetry or something.
So he was like, as his predecessors came before him, the agenda is already set and it's been set. But one of them, right, randomly Gordon DL caught a stray and all this.
Obviously.
So somebody was like, he doesn't seem bad. Apparently he's a Motherwell fan. He kind of just keeps it down the middle. But I can't stand that DL. He is an absolute fud. Right? And somebody said, He's on moaning about how he doesn't understand the director of football role in football while he's actually doing that at Airdrie right now.
That sounds about right. Remember that time he was director of football at Airdrie, but he didn't go to Airdrie games. He would do Super Scoreboard on a Saturday. I'm so sorry if any Airdrie fans are listening.
It's the maddest shit ever, isn't it?
What must he like? See, listening to him on the radio and that, I'm like, what must it have been like playing for him?
I know, you get the odd like story now and then, and like looking back, and me and Mark Wilson, I'll always rest in peace, Mark Wilson, away to Partick Thistle. I'll always sort of like, we obviously like just imagine like the baggy suit, like those, you know, those what they call like drill tops. Remember they were like a kind of canvassy, but with like a big collar, like Umbro.
I know what you're talking
I can
about.
just imagine that, like socks over his trackies. He's
Sort of like Martin O'Neill's get up.
Exactly. Do this with his Rolex, cup of tea. I can totally
vibe.
imagine him. Just like vibes based, not like
The way he goes about his business, everything about him.
He always says that. We always pick up on all the wee
there's
things.
loads.
The way he goes about his business. I just love everything about him.
It's like the same like tone, and it's like, why does he go about his business?
The best one I heard from him, right, and I don't know, you might not remember, right, you've done 1,000 of them, but there was one week and he was kind of, you were talking about how Celtic were really, still playing Ross County at home or whatever, Celtic had a lot of possession, really like putting a lot of pressure on Ross County's defence, and he said something like, Celtic are knocking at the door, but are Ross County gonna let them in? You're like, who the fuck says that?
We went through a wee period of like making up, like, he said he was like making up these like philosophical phrases, but then sometimes I would catch him, right, because once it became a thing, he would then like look down, I'd see he'd have a little bit of paper, so I don't know if someone was feeding him, and then he would just be like, you know, he who dares wins or whatever.
Was it no like Dolly Parton? Did they not do like a Dolly Parton lyric or something? Like, there was some, like,
I wish I had
culture.
come armed with some of them
Aye,
to
that would have
remember
been
what they
good.
were, because some of them were outrageous. Like, but then
Diabolical.
I would see him like, and he would try and be subtle about it. But then, you know, that way, how can I say this without being like too disrespectful to him? Like, you can tell when he's reading. So like
Because your mouth's it.
that like reading voice that people do if they're like, if it's taking them a wee minute to get through the sentence. So I could just tell that he was just reading it off. I don't know if he goes into like Clinton's and Brandon Parade and Motherwell and then just like writes them all down. But he's
so
quite good for
funny.
a mixed metaphor as well. You know, get the duck off the back or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
too
you
mixed
swap
up.
things up a bit. You said something that pure reminded me of something I wanted to tell you. Now you're saying like on the first show you went to like slide the fader up and talk. I was like, oh, that would make me so nervous. And then I got a mad flashback to like see like a couple of years ago or a few years ago. I went to, there was this thing called Bolt FM, right, that goes to different community centres in Scotland, and like Waynes can do like radio shows and that. But my pal ran one of the community centres, Dubbo and Mark Smith as well. They asked me to go down and do like a show because I was doing this and all that. And I was like, aye, if you want. But I went down and it's like probably like 20 people listening or something that goes on Facebook Live and that. But they were like, right, aye, you can say whatever you want, just don't swear or talk about drugs or that. And I was like, oh, I no worries. And they're like, Jamie, don't swear. And I was like, no, I won't. It's a family hanging, the mad boss was there and that. And I was like, I won't. And I was like, right, Trips, what's happening? It's Jamie for Reilly's Gaff. I was like, I'm sitting here with Mark and Double. We're going to be playing tunes and talking a lot of shit.
One sentence in and you blew it.
And I done that and like came off and everybody was like, mate. I was like, what?
Shite's not a swear word.
Aye, true.
Nah, you
man.
might just about get away with that with an apology.
Have you ever slipped and
I don't think so, no. I think it's amazing that Gordon doesn't. I mean, you see him on Open Goal or whatever, and you hear him in real life. It's amazing. For me, the most amazing though, Gordon's become a popular one recently for people saying that because of Open Goal. I'm amazed Alex Ray never did it. If you've ever, he swears more than anybody.
There he's on that wall, mate.
Oh, so yeah.
Like more than you could imagine. Like in the middle of words, you know, people do that. Like not even like punctuation, but like the middle of words.
Aye.
Oh, like it's a prolific rate, and he's never even really came close. There's been a couple of like just random ones where a pundit will maybe go off, and they kind of cover it up, and obviously listeners now and then will.
Aye, do you have a delay?
8 seconds.
8 seconds.
That's
Aye.
enough time.
That's
Well,
plenty.
you say that, but it's like that's the one thing that nothing prepares you for. Usually your heart sinks when that happens, and then you get a wee bit sweaty, and then it's got harder now with us being on YouTube, so I don't really control anything anymore, but I used to. I had everything, but I asked, like, can I just please get it, like, in a pure control freak way? I'm like, I just want to be the one then. And I said to the producer on that, like, I'll then take the blame if I miss it. But it's just hard to expect somebody, and I'm maybe in a different room, who's looking after the YouTube stream. So I've got a wee button on my PC they've added on, it's just if somebody swears. But if I'm on, like, Twitter or whatever, I then need to, like, change the wind. Do you know what I mean? Change the tab, find it. So it's still a bit, like, stressful.
And how does that actual work? I know I'll just talk about the intricacies of radio and that, but, like, how does that just dip the audio for as long as you're holding it?
No, so it just cuts you. So if you're in an 8-second delay, right? So when we're talking and you're listening at home, you're 8 seconds behind.
Yep.
When you hit that button, it just wipes that 8 seconds out.
Cool.
So you become straight back. Then over time, this is like the technology bit that's quite clever. Over time, it then just starts to build itself up again. It uses like the gaps in your speech, the pauses, to just build itself back up. So within like a minute, maybe, I don't know if it's a minute, but within about that, the 8 seconds is like available to you again.
Oh, that's cool. Like a regen, like a game.
Pretty much. Your
a
power
PS2
bar was
game.
back up.
That's crazy, man. Because like I always had that we phoned up Beat the Pundit.
I remember it. Yeah.
Did you see when we 1st phoned up? You sounded slightly worried that we were on.
Well, I'm worried about being here
Don't be.
Why, mate? Look at this studio, and there's nothing weird about.
because
There's nothing weird in this studio.
I've obviously been speaking to you for ages about coming on, and then I said to one of my mates last night I was coming on, and he sent me 2 clips. One was you talking about the first time you had a wank,
I mean, everything's digging me
and
up.
the second was what drugs you would take with which SPFL manager. And I thought, I don't have much to add.
Speaking of,
certainly on one of those topics, but everybody's been to the first one, haven't they? But aye, so I was worried about that. So when you phoned up, I thought this could go one of 2 ways.
aye.
Because I think like I did we just genuinely listened to it every week. So we were like, see when we were on that phone, like for you, it's just like right for another week, right, hit the music, you know the rules, blah blah blah. We were in here like, oh my god, this is crazy.
I can believe that. I'm now like Beat the Pundits. It's perfect. It's almost perfect. It's stood the test of time.
Yep.
But it is the one thing I do think that the pundits have just a wee slight advantage being there, being in person. Like almost like seeing the words come out my mouth. I think it must be a wee bit easier for
I
them.
did feel that.
Aye, and see, like when I watched back, because I think we made a clip of it, and then or Super Scoreboard did as well. But when I watched it back and see like seeing Marv's face, like listening to us and like seeing you reading the questions in the room and that, I was like, that's an advantage. I thought that straight away.
But do you know, like I swear, and I kind of regret. I kind of get a bit excited. Told Marv there's absolutely no chance we're losing to you, right?
You've got to come on big though.
Aye, you do.
You can't shrink.
And but every week, like say if I listen to like, I'll usually listen to it in work for the night before, and I hear the questions, and it'll be like, what nationality is is Nectar Triantis?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know that. Like in my head, I'm like, I would have got like 6 there. But then when you're on it, like we get asked like, what team did Steven Gerrard leave Rangers to go to? Or, like which English team? And I'm like,
I'm not
That's the pressure on it. I do that with the 5k minute. Me and my missus, this is like the type of exciting stuff we get up to at night. We sit and read the 5k minute for that morning. I'll go, let's see how many you can get. And I'm like, I got a 9 this morning. I like never less than an 8. But then if I was on, I would be the same though, because I've never done it before.
I know boys that claim to get 10s every other week and that in them, and I'm like, no chance. By the way.
I get like way angrier than I should. See if I read them and I'm like, that question's out of order. Like that's too hard. Like nobody knows that. And I'll like text somebody at work like that's scandalous.
Aye. And then your missus gets it that night. No
way. Exactly.
well, you know, it's been a first quick half hour. It's almost time for this.
Beat the Duncan.
I had a feeling. I knew there would be something like
that. Sponsored by Eldorado.
Never mind, I'm on my holidays.
Right, so this is what we're going to go. There's going to be 30 seconds on the clock. You have to answer each one of these 10 questions, see how many you can get through. Evan's got to go outside.
we don't have the luxury of Greatest Hits Radio, so I'm just going to go out there.
Answer as many questions as you can. Feel free to press if you don't.
You're going to need to shout.
Can you do the rules?
For goodness sake. I thought you'd have at least practiced it.
I didn't. I was writing the questions when you were sitting there.
Do you know what? I know that's what you're doing. I had a funny feeling.
I always wonder, because you are always, if they give a daft answer, you'll give them a bit and be like, So let's see what happens, man.
Aye.
I don't know these questions. He did offer to rig this.
I did offer to rig it. I said,
listen,
do you want one ringer in here? And they said no.
I have never pretended I would be good at this. I'm good at reading the question. I'm not even good at that. that's my get. I've no idea.
Right.
Well, let's put
Are
it
you
to the
going to
test.
be as good as he is at the whole thing?
No.
Like I've
You
said
better
before, Halliday and Roger
How
Hannah,
good's Halliday, by the way?
They would wipe the floor with me.
Aye,
at this.
Halliday's different.
He's
Like,
amazing,
The
isn't he?
rest of them I would maybe go for. You love him so much.
Do you know what it is with Andy? You know, Celtic man myself, but and obviously I had it in for Halliday back in the day, right? You know, he's just a staunch Jers man. But as soon as I heard him being his opinion, very down the middle, he's just a great guy. I'd love to go. Maybe I could picture me and Halliday. See the canal at Bishop Briggs,
aye, Kirky.
walking up that and just talking tactics.
Would you stop
football.
into the stables for a wee pint or a cup or
If
something?
I wasn't driving, I would, right?
Do you think that's what it is? Because it's like an unexpected love because of the Rangers thing.
Aye.
You didn't think you were going to like him that much.
Aye.
I think I sensed that for people.
He's obsessed, mate.
He's just like me, my missus, him, Jilly. A week in.
He's just his
The
baby.
Algarve.
You could babysit and they could go and enjoy
Look,
themselves.
I'll be.
Godfather, you up for that?
Aye,
I've not got one yet.
I think he was about to ask me that
Aye, I
at the
thought
live
that.
show. He
Probably.
did have that sort of like, should I ask him? I think he was quite nervous meeting me. I'm not going to lie. I think he was.
No wonder I haven't seen the clip.
He must have thought.
See when I seen him, I was like, right, is he going to be like, what the fuck are you all about?
So did you assume he had seen that?
Aye.
Well, the guy David Kerr, shout out to Davey, legend. He's quite close with
That's right,
Andy,
yeah,
so he
yeah.
was like, he'll have seen that. He'll have seen it, which made it. I'm glad he's seen it.
Aye, because Jilly commented on it and that. So, like, aye, you know, I would have. Right, you get outside it.
Sorry, I'm
That's
just.
my fault.
Right, can
I'll
you
go
say
for
the rules
Andy.
again, Gordon? Sorry. Being a
30
man
seconds
who are
on
trying to outsource my
Rules to
job.
myself.
Aye.
What is it again?
Just for them that's not watched Clyde One somehow.
30 seconds on the clock. Answer as many questions as you can. You can pass if you don't know the answer.
Right, he's a professional guy. Right, so 30 seconds on the clock.
Can he hear me out there?
No, he's gone actually out.
suspicious.
Evan, are you going outside? Aye, of course. Mate, I thought only allowed to do that. Right, cut that, right? So, 30 seconds on the clock, starting now. Name one player who scored a hat-trick in the top flight last season.
Dyson Maeda.
Hibs equalled their 1947 unbeaten streak by not losing in how many consecutive games?
In the league?
Yes.
It was about 19.
Who did Dundee United loan Sam Dalby from?
Wrexham.
Who did Rangers get in the recent Champions League draw?
Panathinaikos.
Who did Falkirk beat 3-1 to secure promotion? Give you 10.
jeez, that's
Give you
fast,
3
eh?
seconds.
That's
Go.
fast. So
Just answer
Falkirk promotion last night was... Can't remember.
Right.
I actually watched it as well. That's so bad.
That's bad when the clock's on you, innit?
Yeah.
Right, let's get the wee banner back in here. Evan Reilly. Come on in here, how'd you feel?
I actually wasn't great there. I wasn't great. The nerves got to me.
It's a bit harder on air, isn't it, Gordon?
Oh, it's
a
harder
wee
than
bit
I was
harder.
gonna say.
Right. Same questions to you. Time starts now. Name one player who scored a hat-trick in the top flight last season.
Ida,
Hibs equalled their 1947 unbeaten streak by not losing in how many consecutive games?
16.
Who did Dundee United loan Sam Dalby from?
Wrexham,
Who did Rangers get in the recent Champions League draw?
Panathinaikos,
Who did Falkirk beat 3-1 to secure promotion?
Hamilton Accies,
He's got it.
2 players were chastised for muted celebrations this season, Andy Halliday and who else?
Cherney, no.
He's done me. He's done me in the
think
Ackies.
so?
I just couldn't remember it. I watched it and
I
I
knew
was
it was
just like,
Airdrie then.
that's the Ackies for
Right.
sure. They had that gold strip on.
They did.
done
They
me.
did. So
done me.
let's go through the questions.
Maybe by 2, I think you got the Hibs one right.
Beat the Duncan. Name one player who scored a hat-trick in the top flight last season. You said Ida, it's no. You said Maeda. Do you know it was only Igamani this year?
I know there wasn't. I knew there wasn't.
He
many.
scored a hat-trick in a cup game, I think. Maida.
Aye,
And was there not none last season as well?
Aye, there was none, and that was the first time since like fucking 18,
Because I knew that I couldn't really remember any, so that's why I just went Maida. He's definitely
I
beat me
couldn't, but just I could not remember who Celtic's striker was. I was just like, who plays up front for Celtic? I nearly said Edward.
It's no, you've not even get the ticking clock on this one, and it's still 30 seconds is hard though.
It's quick.
It's quick. Right, so Hibs equalled their 1947 unbeaten streak by not losing in how many consecutive games? You said 16, you said 19, it was 17. Who did Dundee United loan Sam Dolby from?
No, you beat me.
It's
100%.
It's 0-0 then. Who did it's a fucking donut each? Who did Dundee United loan Sam Dolby? So, and that was both correct. That's one each. Who did Rangers get in their recent Panathinaikos? Who did you say?
Panathinaikos.
Who'd you say?
Panathinaikos.
Both got it right.
He's won.
Calm down, we'll get to it. It's trying to build the drama.
Best of 3.
Right, we'll continue the questions, right? 'Cause I've got all sorts. Who did Falkirk beat in the 3-1 to secure promotion? Hamilton was correct. The next question I did ask Evan, they said Cherney. Do you think you could get this?
What was the question? I was zoned out.
Mute-
I was
mute-
taken by that point.
So 2 players were chastised for muted celebrations this season. Andy Halliday and who else?
I actually think there was a couple, but the main one that kind of chastised some word, doesn't it?
Mate, I wrote that.
Was that you?
I wrote Ori ones. It's the later ones.
Aaron Donnelly at Dundee.
Oh, there you go, by the way.
Doesn't he count? He's beat me.
I know.
I took take my medicine.
Who was it?
Remember he scored against Celtic. They hadn't even played for
it
Celtic.
was like that.
That was bizarre.
Mate, that was
a last minute win.
That was
No, it
a
was a
significant goal
equaliser.
Aye.
Mate, that was the one that I wrote down and I thought, that's such a good question.
Chastised.
Right, just want to just finish them.
What's the
go
score?
through the menu.
It's 2-1, but I know it's after the time on that, but getting Aaron Donnelly's good.
No, I'm not taking it.
Why don't we just do a tiebreaker?
Right, let's do
What are the
it.
other questions?
Aye, we'll just run through
I just want to know what he's come up with.
Aye, I want to tell people.
I want more words like chastised.
Name both scorers in the most recent Glasgow Derby match on the 4th of May.
It's your speciality here, come on.
Both scorers. I actually can't remember at all.
I know, mate, I forget seasons.
That game was like one of the worst games, Celtic Rangers games. Is the one each one?
Aye, the one each one. I think I guess it, mate. A Rangers player and a Celtic player.
Ida.
Aye.
And I just see Ida for everyone. Dessers.
Aye.
2 number 9s.
Did you got that?
Aye, it was the 2 number 9s after, and then it was because then I was really desperate for like a talking point that week, and then so we spent ages arguing about like who's had the better season.
Aye, I remember that episode actually. Who plays their games at Gayfield?
Both.
I would have accepted your da or Arbroath. Ayr United are known as the what men?
Honest.
Well done, boys.
Best place for Gordon to yell with that.
True, anyway. What club lost power mid-game due to a local bakery tripping the grid?
I like the sound of it. Who's got a bakery near them? You wouldn't know that, would you? Like, off the top.
There's a cracking bakery.
I actually feel like I remember hearing this. It's a lower league.
It is a low league team, mate. Aye.
Is it like Annan or something?
It's Elgin City.
Never again.
Right, so it was tiebreaker. I was excited about it.
Is this a proper, like, one of those ridiculous tiebreakers?
Aye, mate, aye. And I love the tiebreakers. Every time I love the tiebreakers. I'm like, what the fuck could it be?
They make me nervous because, like, there's always somebody who'll say, but if it's is it, like, you know, what distance is is that as the crow flies or is the road? Then it's like, come on.
There's stipulations that well, there's no stipulations in this one, so can I get you to just be very honest with your answer?
Sure.
And you to whisper it to me or something?
Why would
You could just whisper it to me.
I'll whisper it and then Gordon can whisper it. And then...
So whoever gets this wins, right? What is the total combined capacity of all 12 Scottish Premiership stadiums in the 2024-2025 season? You get 10 seconds. I'm fucking showing you. Nearly.
No.
Honestly, not a bad guess at all.
Yeah, I go 230,000.
Oh, mate, you've won, but by like 2,000 or something. It's 252,000. Evan said 280,000.
No,
so
287 actually.
Oh,
wait, I see what you said.
Get the calculator out.
Get a calculator.
Gordon wins it.
What was your logic there? How did you go about that? I said Celtic and Rangers.
I done like 7 times 10 or something in my head for like some of the teams, and then I done like 50-50.
That's interesting.
Beautiful minded this shit.
I don't know where I get the 7 for it. I just seen that number in my head. Now you get like a gut instinct when you get asked to
I
guess
got
something.
to like about 110 for Celtic and Rangers, and I thought about 20 each for like Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts, and then I just went blank. And I don't know what added on then.
Because sometimes the capacity of football stadiums really trips me out, man. See, even some of the like Luton and that, and
I
like
wouldn't make way to that, I don't think.
Bournemouth, it's like 10k or something.
It's small. Well, that's like Andy, who's brilliant to beat the pundit, though. He's not good at, is it stadiums or nicknames? Like really bad.
Let's just get off his case. I think. I think he's done a great job. Open goal. He's got a lot on his plate. A baby.
New baby.
You're expecting him to know Gayfield and all that, right? Nay, Chad.
Do you know what get lost in the sauce a bit? My love for Marvin Bartley, mate.
Do you love Marvin?
I love
He
him,
loves
mate.
a bit of Marvin.
That was on that episode. We were both steaming with that because we were both big fanboys of you originally.
We've moved on to Marvin.
Aye.
No, I would say it's still going strong.
I'm going to
up.
try and win you back
Like,
between now and the end of this.
We've got like things like Evans got a mad fucking, I don't know if it's sexual or that, but heavy wants you to pick him up for the airport.
I said I would love an early morning flight. I would love you to just come. Like say I get into Glasgow Airport at about 7:50.
Right.
I think you would be great. Is like how's your holiday,
You
guys? I think
you were paying the £6 drop off charge.
£6
now.
Is it?
Unbelievable. Name me a bigger rip off in the world. That's your challenge.
To just get in an
Seriously.
airport.
Comment below.
to just be somewhere.
£6.
Did it know it used to be £1?
And then everybody
It was
went.
nothing.
Everybody went nuts when it went from 1 to 2. 6.
Aye. I mean, they got you a fiver and being a bit like, you're ripping the pish. But you said something to me yesterday. You said the words, the score is the new tenner. And I really think that's philosophical.
Aye.
And it's like
inflation.
a fiver's the new quid. Like
An economist, a philosopher, this guy has got it all.
and Andy Halliday lover.
But Marvin's a good choice, I would say.
Aye, big handsome Marv.
Is I was wondering, right? No, but first, just while we're on like the games of Clyde Super Scoreboard, we were sitting on the stage at the live show, right? So we were there earlier than everybody else, obviously shiting ourselves. Like we were there like for the stage door opening.
You were the Hugh Keevans of
Aye,
that
but
night.
he was there.
He turned up an hour later.
Aye,
You were there before him. That's a low moment.
but we're on the stage and we're kind of practicing, and I can see Jamie, like he could see the entrance to the stage behind me, and I can see him smiling and that. And I'm like, what's this? And I turn around, there's Hugh, right? So he walks up and he's like, how you doing, boys? And we kind of like, oh, we're Reilly's got. I'm like, there's no chance. He's got a Nokia phone. There's no chance he knows us. But his granddaughter must have showed him us or something, right? So he was like, oh no, he's a like fucking hell. And
So Hugh, what manager would you take drugs with? Was that your next question?
You think mushies and that?
I've told, just quick, sorry I keep butting in that.
No.
You must have heard that. I've said it before about Hugh in Wimbledon.
no,
This is it's the only drug story I've got, right? So bear with me. We talk about him, and he said he used to go to Wimbledon every year for the newspaper would send him. He would go 2 weeks, he would interview John McEnroe, Boris Becker. He was like dropping names. It sounds amazing because you forget how like big time Hugh, the circles he's moved in. But the sentence he said, and I can't do it in his voice, he said, yep, every year I used to go to Wimbledon for 2 weeks on Eckies. Right, so I've lost it, and whoever like the younger pundits are, because imagine them. Right? But apparently
Boris Becker,
back in the day that meant expenses. So he meant like it's all paid for.
Aye.
But he's went, I went to Wimbledon on Eckies for 2 weeks every year.
Oh my God.
that would be
I know,
outstanding.
so I couldn't get out of my head. And every time Wimbledon or tennis, anything comes up, there you go. That's all I've got.
Like a Vice documentary or something, like take Eckies with you at Wimbledon.
I don't know if it still could be arranged or not, or if that's like those days are gone.
Imagine you win that in a raffle or something, like 2 week ticket
follow him.
Wimbledon, meet Boris Becker and take Eckies with all Hugh, man.
Surprised they didn't raffle off at that thing.
I know,
We were sitting and they were raffling off a night in a shisha bar with me and him. Somebody paid 600 quid for it.
Nuts.
Kidding.
A free meal, and then I don't know where that 600 quid's gone.
No, it's not in my
We're not
pocket,
getting it.
Is it the same? We had a caller moaning that Nadeem Barami's in the shisha bar every night, so maybe it was the same.
No way.
I can see him in there.
Aye, mate, there probably was a few balls. We've been in there. There probably was a few balls kicking about.
But the funny thing, he said to Hugh, he's like, to Hugh, He said, I love your teaser. I don't know how you come up with them. And he's like, what's it Hugh said back? He was like, I don't come up with them.
There's
He said,
loads of other people do it.
he was like, quite frankly, every week I do it, I think, who gives a shit?
We get him in trouble for saying that, but
Nah.
Some
Teflon, mate.
absolutely not. He owns the place. Sometimes, like, obviously, him and I should have a copy each. But well, sometimes I've just left mine in the office. So if I want to check it for something, or I've maybe grabbed his paper and I've slid it across, and then I'll hit the button to say like the teaser, or go on Hugh, give us your teaser again. But I've maybe still got the sheet, and 8 years in, multiple times, he'll still be like, pointing as if he'll like really panicking. He'll start waving bits of paper. And I'm like,
they got rubber because imagine you had to remember like I played with Gaza.
I've never, I swear to God, I've never got one of them.
Who am I? Is
and
outrageous. I know. I don't know how people's brain works like that.
Yeah.
No, well, he was cheating though.
But he still, do you know think he still gets it regularly
He's
though?
still. So the first one was we took his phone off him and locked it in a box because we thought because you can't really Google it, but I figured somebody is piecing it together and sending them it. So locked his phone in a box. But then it turns out like the producer was just telling him, and I was like, how like that's what's the fun in that?
You're cheating yourself.
You're only cheating yourself.
Exactly.
So we stopped that, but then he kept getting them, and I was like, this is it's quite incredible. But then shamelessly, he had found this way. So when Hugh was reading the first half teaser, the Dazzler discovered that Hugh always folds the sheet. So when he's reading the first, he could see the back, and he could see the second half answer. So he's unbelievable at reading like Jermaine Defoe upside down or whatever, and then he would say it, and then we caught him on that. But you're right, so he doesn't get it automatically, but I still think he actually is not bad.
It's fun. It's funny though because like that's what I was going to say, because even when he was cheating, he would you would like obviously read it out and I'd be like, oh, tough one, and then you'd hear Gordon like a couple of minutes later going, I think I've got it.
Like,
come
he
on,
goes,
man.
I've got it. I've got it. And they're like, how? Like, how have you done that?
I like when it's too early to reveal it, so he writes it down for Mark, and some of the spellings are unbelievable. I'll lean over it. It's like I can see the name he's trying to come up with, but it's nowhere near it. But he's not bad. Right.
See in terms of callers that phone in, right? You get obviously the clips that go viral, and you get like I think the guy, my recent favourite one's the guy with the saying about the bear. Like you can what is it said? You can take the bear out the wild, but you can't take the wild out the bear. True, absolutely true. I think that was Thatcher Loyal actually that said that. But what's your favourite kind of call to get? Because some guys will phone in and like be really like eloquent and really like have thought about what they're going to say. But then you get the head cases. Is there like a type of call you prefer getting?
I think you just need the variety of like them all at some point if you can. I think most people obviously listen for the madness. I think mostly or like after a big game or after a big controversy. But then I feel like if you did like, because I think I sometimes separate it in my head. People might only listen for 10-15 minutes. Some people might listen for the full night. Some people might listen all week. So for me, I'm always like, I need to do this tomorrow and the next night and the next night and the next night for the next 10 months. So I feel like if it was like literally wall-to-wall head case, it wouldn't work. If it was wall-to-wall intelligent, articulate, all madness, that wouldn't work. So see, as long as I can just get a little bit of
so if you had like 18 Laurie Fidenistons phoning up, that guy,
they would try out to each other. So as long as within the space of a few days, if I feel like I've had a bit of everything, that's
what do you think? Because I was saying this to Jamie on a podcast recently. What do you think about the guys who phone in every now and again, right? So like maybe like Gordon will be in with Marvin or something, and you're all having a laugh, and a guy will phone in, he'll be like, I've been listening to this show for 40 years. It used to be an integral piece of journalism. It's turned into an absolute shit show. I wouldn't say shit show, but he's like, I don't know what this has become.
A cabal of buffoons and all.
It's so like, your back maybe gets up to like 1%, but I don't care that much. But I always just think, it sounds just like, just don't listen. Like it's okay. And I honestly think there's a compliment in there somewhere, because people feel that like it's big enough that they are entitled to that it has to keep meeting a certain standard or whatever. But as I just feel like, just don't listen. Like I can't, and I don't mean to be like as if, because obviously I want as many people to listen as possible, but like if it's not for you, it's okay. Like do you know what I mean? Same as like like how many, especially nowadays, like how many podcasts are out there? Like there's loads of podcasts I don't listen to. I don't feel the need to tell them all why I don't listen.
Email them all.
I would just silently like not press play, and if I didn't enjoy it, I would just like turn off. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's one side of it you get a bit like you maybe want to like defend yourself or defend the show or whatever. Or the one thing that I try not to, because you can't bite, can you? You would just be
I was
like the listening figures in the last few years. We just came off the back of like the best ever, like record breaking. And that broke the record that was like last year. So in the last few years of like, you know, in this day and age, like for radio, that might surprise people because there's so many other like options out there. So that's like my favourite one. If people are like, oh, nobody listens anymore, I feel like saying, like, see if you think it's fucking like terrible, like that's okay because that's fine. But that bit about like, oh, nobody listens, like, you've just made that up, and I feel like I can't say that. So this is my moment.
I know. Well done. Stand up for yourself. Because I feel like in the in the landscape of like football radio, that like all the other ones do my nothing. Like I see the fact that it is quite light-hearted sometimes in that, and you've got like the Mushroom, Dazzler, Keevans. Know what I mean? These mad personalities rather than just no shade to fucking sports sound or whatever, but like you listen to that and it's very it's like feels like a mad 70s radio show or something.
The thing is, for some people that is what they like, and that's fine. So you just can't please it. That was that. See, that night when I got offered the job, that was like, you just can't please everybody. See, if you just get that in your head at moment one, then everything else like kind of fits around that. So like I don't mind if people hate it, it's fine. But I think that's what I always just thought, I need to just do it how I feel comfortable, and then if people, so I think like the most common criticism maybe would be like people don't think there's enough like real like heated debate like between the pundits, and maybe it's a bit it's a bit chummy or whatever. I can understand that, but I also feel that's what most people want. I feel like they kind of want to feel involved. I don't really like turning on a radio and hearing people like shouting over each other or whatever.
There's like,
but some people might. But I feel like I just need to kind of do it my way, and then if it works, it works. If it doesn't,
Were you the host when Chris Sutton had a go at Derek Johnson?
Just before. So again, I would not like that. But again, some people would. So that's not me saying I'm right. But you cannot park your own personality all the time. Sometimes you have to. But I would have been quite uncomfortable with that, I think.
Even I was like, I'm a Celtic fan. He was obviously having a go at him, and I was just like, it's a bit awkward.
I forgot all about that. Was there no one with Derek Johnson? I know.
That was the one.
Sorry.
He was calling him a Rangers cheerleader. I was kind of sitting like, I can't believe he's saying this.
Charlatan.
A charlatan.
One of the first things I said to Hugh when I met him, I was like, "How is DJ's he all right?" Like, I'm not
why did you even ask him that?
I thought about him the other day. Do you know why? Because I met him, mate, when I was a young boy up in Petershill Park.
Right.
And we were up there for like some football thing, and all my pals, like a lot of my pals with Springburn were like Rangers fans, and they were all, "Oh, DJ for the radio's here now," and they were all pure buzzing. And I was like, "The DJ?" I thought it was the radio DJ. So I was pretty excited. Then I found out who it was, and I was a bit like, "Oh!" But then it just popped into my head that day. I was like, "I hope he's all right. I'll ask you on Saturday."
I don't. What did you say? Because I don't think he's seen him much, does he?
Just said he's kind of keeping himself.
I met him a couple of times. I think he did a couple of things for Sky that I was doing, and that's right. You work with these guys a lot, and then for whatever reason, they need to, I'm still in that kind of like period of mourning. I'm not in mourning yet. I've still got the shock grief about like Mark Wilson getting the Partick Thistle job. That was his eyes gone.
Really?
It's kind of.
He's no day in the Golden Dale where he just doesn't even
that so publicly, but. What he said, and he took the power away from us, and he's that. And again, you talk about like the kind of like this. The stature of like what it means to some people, or like how big a deal it is, whether you like it or not. And his actual like Partick Thistle unveiling on the Club TV channel, the final question was like, "So Mark, are you hanging up the radio headphones or whatever?"
That's class.
And he was like, "Yeah, listen, Super Scoreboard's been a really big part of my life."
That's
unbelievable. Listen, we'll try now and then. We'll see what happens. I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
Post-match things and that, you'll get him on for the interviews.
Do you know what's amazing?
Listen, see if this will go on a 10-game winning run. He'll be on one.
Bragging on a Thursday.
That was what was amazing, because see him being the Partick Thistle interim manager, it made me watch the championship, like, because I knew that yous would be watching it, and then I kept seeing them with the stopwatch and that, and I was like, they'll be picking up on that tomorrow. It made me like watch, like I was watching that that last game of the season where it was like Partick Thistle and then Falkirk. It made me Like I would come in for work and let my girlfriend be like, we'll put something on. And I'd be like, the canny man, Partick Thistle are playing the night. She's like, why the fuck are you watching them?
I was like that. I was going like a layer deeper, thinking, is he doing that worried about what we're going to think? And stop doing it. And I felt like he was ultra, like I felt like he never changed his facial expressions, and I kept thinking, like, is that him, or is he just doing that so that we don't slag him about it? Maybe that's getting carried away by our own self-importance a bit, but that's what I was thinking.
I know what you mean, because see the live show, I was kind of like standing at the side of the stage with him, right, and they were announcing like, oh, and Gordon DL, but then none of them were on the stage yet, and then it was like Mark Wilson, and like he got quite a lot of boos. And he was like, are they booing me? And I said, there must be a lot of Partick Thistle fans in the night. And he didn't even say it, and he was just like...
Had he been named manager by that point?
No, it hadn't been. It was before he officially got... No, maybe he had.
No, I think he had. I was wondering how he would... If it would put him off going on or anything like that.
I thought that as well, honestly.
The guy phoning in and saying about, like... That was gold. The guy phoned in. He was like, "Oh, it's a Partick Thistle fan. How would you think of the job he's doing?" And he was like, "I mean, Mark Wilson, he's doing all right. Definitely need a new manager." But that was crazy, wasn't it?
And there was not like you'll put him back to the under 18s on. He was like, "Nah." I know that's where it just becomes like a bit funny, but like a little bit awkward.
Do you think he'll do well?
Who knows? I think in Mark would respect that. I mean, I'd love to just go aye, but it's just so hard, and I think he'll already realise. I'm look at some of the business Ross County have done already, like Declan Gallagher, Ross Docherty, Gary Mackay-Stephen. I think he'll know already, like, and that's, I'm not like, no offence to Partick Thistle fans, but they'll all have quite a high opinion of the club and think they should chase promotion, and I get that to a point, but I look at like the squad Ross County will have and versus what Thistle will probably go in with.
Aye.
I think it'll be tough. St Johnstone in there as well, but that's no, give it a good go. I think he's. I think, and it's easy for me to say because I know he can just talk a good game or whatever, but I've got faith in him. I think he's really switched.
I think he done well. He even because like I always think in the playoffs, the team that finishes, they finish fourth, didn't they? The team that finishes fourth have basically no chance. Like, see, by that time of the season, when the injuries are coming in, and then you're playing a game, like the games are like, I feel like every second night or something.
It's even at that, like Livy's squad was much better. It just was. Like, see when you went, and do you know, it is partly our fault. I do feel bad because see at Airdrie, Mark did not do a bad. Mark got Airdrie to the playoffs. And that Livy team that went back-to-back promotions and then lasted like 8 years or whatever in the top flight, that they beat them in. They won the league, sorry. They get knocked out of the playoffs on penalties. He did a perfectly fit, but it was easier for us to kind of slag everybody. So then we created this narrative. Look, Brecon was like a kind of very difficult situation, and he'd left well before they got relegated. But we kind of make it out. So it was our fault. I feel bad for that.
Because I have no recollection of him being a manager at any of the teams. I just can't remember even.
It was quite a short period.
So in my head, Mark Wilson was horrendous at both.
It's totally our fault.
Was he at Airdrie the same time Gordon was?
He was the assistant.
He was the sporting director. Mark was the manager.
Oh, was that what it was?
Mark was the manager.
I thought he was the manager and he was the assistant.
It would have been odd as them playing well, but
of course,
pop him in with a cup of tea. How you doing, Mark?
Didn't fuck off.
Apparently that's what it was. He used to like go and negotiate in the cafe at Ravenscraig, like how much the soup was and stuff like that. I'm sure those for the stories.
So funny, man. So do you think we'll be seeing a Partick Thistle Mark Wilson track in the charity shops?
Well, that's the cynic who would say, "Don't worry, he'll be back. He'll be back by Halloween on the show." But we'll wait and see.
What if the season's not going that great and he just starts chucking games so he can get back to Super Scoreboard?
As long as he don't Philly's spot. You know what I mean?
Who's the up and comers? Do you think? Like I know, like Scott Allen's probably. Scott Allen's big time in the punditry game, but
it's hard. I think like Mark and Gordon have got such a kind of unique thing. Or like you probably won't try. You won't. It would be daft to just try and like replicate that. Do you know what I mean? Because then you just put the next person in a bit of a kind of under pressure. We'll just wait and see what happens. I don't really know.
Are there any? We're by the way, we're about to move on to our Patreon bit of the episode, right? It's like half an hour. Yep. You can go if you're busy.
If you'll have me, I'll stay. I don't mind.
We'd love you to stay, mate. A question I wanted to ask you.
Trying to avoid bedtime for the two kids. You've got me to 10 o'clock.
Do whatever, mate. So you've obviously met a lot of players and been around all the squads at their training grounds and stuff. Are there any players now that you think they would be great once they retire to be on Super Scoreboard.
Oh, that is good. Because obviously Andy's just a perfect example. Like, it baffles me because I get like 5% of it, but see if people say like, I mean, how can Andy Halliday go on there and talk about that when he's playing at the weekend? But it's like, yeah, but that's the point. Like, you're trying to get somebody who's got that insight, who plays against these people. Like not, you couldn't have all your pundits doing that. And yes, there'll be certain limitations as to what you can or can't say, but like, surely that's a good thing if you can hear from somebody who's like he doesn't look at me, he's welling up here. He's man, you know what I mean?
It's just, Andy, what can I say?
Did you not write Andy a poem?
I was going to write him a poem. I was actually going to write you a poem, but I was just going to say Gordon Duncan, more like Gordon Hunkin.
Good one, I like that.
I commented that in one of your pictures.
You hated us
and
for
then,
that.
No, I took that as a joke.
Oh, good, good. Because I commented
Because you look
that.
hunky, mate. You're a hunk.
Right, is that what it is?
You're a handsome guy, mate.
Because I commented it, right? And I remember sitting, I think I was steaming when I done it,
You
right?
were.
And I remember like 2 hours later kind of being like, he's not kind of like that, right? And I was like, why have I done
I
that?
see if I go down my comments and see if I've liked like every one of them, but then left that one out.
That's what you know.
That's bad. It's hard because the ones I think that are like there are kind of already, you know, like Scott Arfield's a good example. He'll be brilliant. He's brilliant already, but he's still kind of playing.
Mulgrew, does he do anything?
I think you might see him do a bit more because by the sounds of it, he's like really scunnered by like his management experience or whatever. But again, he's kind of been on. He did a lot of the Premier games last season. I think it's harder now, and I think once they get into the big clubs, they're a bit more like just kind of like locked away, protected. Somebody like Greg Taylor could be pretty good, to be honest. I think he speaks really well.
Luke McCowan, mate, I think.
You know, the guys like that would be good. And then obviously, as time goes on, maybe there's more. I think that's why, as an example, like, see a lot of like Celtic's notable players over the last, I don't know, maybe in your times, they've been foreign players.
Aye.
So they won't stay and become pundits.
Kyogo would be brilliant, mate.
Kyogo
Kyogo Maeda.
But like, do you know what I mean? See, even if you go back,
Aye.
so there's the obvious ones now, like Chris Sutton or whatever, but there's so many that come here then as notable players and disappear. But guys like Greg Taylor, Luke McCowan, the kind of Scottish ones, good. Do you know who I love? His personality on it, Dessers, is amazing, honestly.
I love Dessers.
Nice
Dessers might be next to my firing line, mate.
He's such a nice guy.
He's making his way through the Rangers team.
I love how that sounded like
I know, that's what it's
sexual.
meant to sound.
I love how much God DL loves him for paying for the haircuts, but I know it's only
bringing it
because he would he's like, imagine I was in there and I get a haircut for free.
Exactly. No, like, so there's a few, like I say, that kind of Greg Taylor, Luke McCowan are great talkers at Celtic, and the thing about Rangers is so Celtic's foreign players, Maeda and Hatate and Kyogo before, obviously language barrier, but I feel like Rangers have a couple of foreign players who speak so well, like Hadji, Raskin, and Dessers. Honestly, I feel like he's just such a nice guy, and that's why
You're getting a bit like with Dessers like that.
No, never. Nobody will get like that. But he walked past me in the corridor once at the training centre, and he's like, "How you doing?" Kind of to my phone sitting, and he went, "When am I coming on your podcast?" And I don't know what he meant. I don't know if he meant Super Scoreboard. He's maybe just seen a clip, or if he meant the warm up. Or I just didn't really.
I
know,
love Sam North. He's amazing.
He's my favourite YouTuber. But he went, "When am I coming on your podcast?" And I was like, whenever you want, like any time. I said you'd be good, and I said, but they wouldn't let you, and because the clubs are protective. I said they wouldn't let you, and he was like, yes, I'll have a word. So if he's about to move, we better act fast for next season.
Aye, that would be
He might get, before he
guy.
catches the flight to Greece, he
could
might
do
be
it.
like, get me on, man, I'm done.
Why not? I'm there.
Let me
Book us in.
imagine an hour interview with him and just be like, mate, what'd you think about that shit you were getting?
I know.
I think he gets a hard time.
Because he's so open about that though, like, and then there's only so often you can do. I've interviewed him maybe about 6 times, say, and other reporters will have done even more this season. So it's in every time you're trying to find a new way of saying, what's it like scoring all these goals, but people think you're fucking hopeless? Do you know what I mean? Like you're trying to put it in, and but he's kind of smart enough, and he's switched on, and he remembers that you've spoken about it before, so he'll kind of say that like, we've spoken about this before, but, and then he goes on to, it must be tough. That's Glasgow.
It's tough. Gordon, we're about to move on to the Patreon. Troops, get us on the Patreon, patreon.com/Reilly's Gaff. If you're not going to join, I don't even really want to know you. But Gordon, thanks for coming on for the people on YouTube. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. But
Enjoyed it.
now we're going to get on to the meat of the matter because we need
Filthy
to.
shit and
We were before
need
we
to
go
make
into before we go into the Patreon, we went like a deep dive on your Instagram, which isn't very deep, by the way. I must say.
Try and keep it safe.
Aye.
Low key, some might say.
But I want to pull up some pictures and just ask what's going on there.
What you did there?
Patreon.com/Reilly's Gaff.